this is to, it could help someone just by experience. Where when Cookie was having health problems, so Cookie is known, like, we all have our periods. Like my period, I've been lucky. I didn't start my period till very late in my teenager years, and over the years they were like a 3-day period, and really like these later years I've started having cramps. I've never really experienced cramps, but after Gian I started experiencing cramps or whatever. So can you express what you were going through?
Okay, so just
and it might help someone who might be dealing with this, like losing too much blood.
Right. So a little rundown. So I always suffered from anemia. I was always anemic. I got my first period when I was about 12.
Wow.
But it used to be so heavy that my mom would keep me home from school, or my mom would come to school to like help me try to, like deal with my menstrual. As a kid, I used to double up because, we didn't have always back then. We only had like the Kotex and stuff.
Right.
So my mom used to I used to double up to go to school days that I couldn't go. Okay, what happened is as I got older, I kind of learned how to deal with a heavy 7-day period, right? Over the years, I've tried, how different birth controls that they say can possibly help you with your menstrual. It had the opposite effect on me. So, like, I remember when they had the shots and stuff like that, and it was like this, whatever, the 3-month thing, it actually made my period come heavier. So, by the time I had my son, I'm like 20 years old, I'm just like, okay, I can monitor it, I could deal with it. When I had my third child, I was 30, right? 35, I decided I wanted to go and I wanted to tie my tubes. Like I said, always was anemic, so I eat like a lot of greens and stuff like that. Every time I became pregnant, they always immediately iron, supplement, vitamins, whatever the case may be. So I tied my tubes. I feel like it turned out to be something good, bad, I'll explain. I tied my tubes. My period went from being 7 days to 3.
Okay.
But, okay, I did not tie my tubes. I had my tubes cut and burned. So it's a different thing. When you tie your tubes can be untied. Your tubes could also come loose. You can also get pregnant because it's tied. After a while, it loosens up. If the sperm is strong enough, he will get through. So that's why you hear of people getting pregnant when their tubes is tied. So what happened is my sister actually had her tubes tied and had got pregnant in her tubes.
Oh, wow.
So because she got pregnant in her tubes, she had her tubes cut and burnt. So when I was going to do it, she's like, don't tie it because, I passed out, had to go to the hospital. I was pregnant, in my tubes, get it cut and burnt. So I went to the doctor, told him I wanted to cut and burn it. They said, okay. The period went from being 7 to 3 days. The problem is the flow of the 7 days came in 3
days.
So when I say miserable, as a grown woman, I had to walk outside, and I'm a social worker. As a grown woman, I had to have extra set of clothes and stuff with me, or try not to leave the office when my period came. Or I used to pray it would come on the weekend so I could deal with it at home. And so what happened is I went to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and what they suggested was for me to take ortho-tricycline low. So I was taking birth control, though my tubes were tied. So the birth control was actually helping me a little, because my period is so crazy to where I can't pinpoint. You know how you could say it's the beginning of the month?
Right.
It's coming? It just comes. And when it comes, I can't use a panty liner. I need a pad. So it's just like I go to the bathroom, girl, you better get the pad. It's coming. So what they had suggested was for me to use ortho-tricycline low, because what they were saying was that, the hormones was low and it would kind of help me try to regulate it. Okay, what it did do was it made it a little regular to where I could pinpoint when my menstrual was coming. But it didn't help with the flow. Me, I changed jobs. I started working for the city. They no longer wanted to cover the birth control. So basically, one day I went to the pharmacy and they're like, "You owe us $700," and I'm like, "$700 for what?" And they're like, "The birth control." So I'm like, "Miss me with the bullshit. Like, have the birth control. I don't want it." So I went. I think it was like 2019. I had a physical. My primary care doctor calls me in and she sounds like she's in an uproar. So she's like, "Where you at? I need you to come in, whatever, whatever." So she's scaring me. So I'm like, "Do I have cancer? Like, what is going on?" So I left the job and I get there and she's like, "How you feeling? Are you all right? Whatever, whatever." Like sitting me down. I'm thinking like, is it like a terminal illness? Like what's happening? She's like, "Your iron levels are so low that I want to put you like in the hospital." And I'm just like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Normal levels are supposed to be like 14, 16. She's like, "Yours is 2. Right.
Wow.
So she's like, "Your levels are at a 2 right now." So she starts asking me questions like, "Do you feel this? Do you feel fatigue? Do you feel whatever, whatever?" But I'm thinking because I'm a social worker, I'm outside, I'm in the field, and I have my kids at home. I'm thinking you're supposed to feel like this because this is the way that I've been feeling for years.
Right.
So she's like, "No." And she's like, "If it goes any lower, not only are you going to have to be hospitalized, you're going to need a blood transfusion with the iron." So I'm like, "This cannot be real." So she's like, "Tomorrow, I need you to go so-and-so." She's like, "You need to start infusions now." And I'm just looking at her like, "Infusions?" She's like, "Iron infusions." She's like, "You need to go see the hematologist."
Wow.
She's like, "The hematologist is going to start you on a regimen of infusions." So in 2019, I had to have 8 iron infusions. And what they did was the same way they give you the IV in a bag. I had to go sit there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And they basically infused me with like iron because
It was just coming out too much during your
and
cycles.
so right. So what they were saying was because my cycles was so heavy, it was shedding all of the iron.
Right.
And since I tied my tubes, it was shedding like the 3 days was just, they said it's like you turning the pipe on. Basically, all the iron was shedding. So they gave me 8 infusions. My numbers went back up. But now this is the dilemma I was in. Every time I have a period, the iron comes out. So then they said, "Okay, do the tablets," right? Now, you know, normal iron makes people constipated, stuff like that. It wasn't doing that to me. So I was doing the iron tablets. After a while, it started making me nauseous. It started making me sick to the point where I had to leave work. Like, I felt dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out. They were doing a whole bunch of tests on me and everything, like taking blood, checking for this disorder, that disorder, whatever the case may be. Okay, I could no longer do the tablets. They said, "Okay, let's try the liquid iron." They gave me the liquid iron. They even measured it out. So I had like individual, like little, like thing, take it off, you drink it, of the iron to take.
Okay.
That started giving me the same effect. To where it was making me sick. To where the last time I took it, I had to go to sleep for 3 hours because it made me dizzy. Right? It was making me sick. So, of course, everybody is just like, "Oh, eat spinach, eat this, eat that, drink this, drink that." And you know, you listen to everybody and you're going to the store and you're buying all these juices and you're taking all these shots. But what everybody is not understanding is the period is so heavy that no matter what I intake, it's flushing it all out. And so the last time I went, the vein, I guess, almost like erupted or whatever happened to so the hematologist is just like, "We can't keep on doing this, and the insurance is not going to pay for it." So what they said was an IUD. They said, though your tubes are tied, they said the Mirena.
Oh, right, because the IUD is, again, like a birth control.
So this is what they said. The hematologist the primary care doctor, and the gynecologist all working together. What they were saying was the Mirena IUD, that they use it and that it has been effective to help women with heavy periods. So the problem that we had was, would the insurance pay for it knowing that I have my tubes tied? Mm-hmm. So what happens is, we had spoke about this in October. And what happens is, in March, I go to the doctor. My levels are now at a 4. So I had to do 6 infusions. Mm. And so what happens is, in May, they called me and they're like, we got them to approve the IUD. We have it. Like, what do you want to do? Now I'm scared. Because now I'm just like, I don't want something in my body. Right. Because the side effects of the IUD is, it can make you bleed more. Mm-hmm. The side effects is, your body has to get used to having it. So though it may lessen the period, it may also make your body go irregular.